Morning everybody, it's Wednesday the 4th of December 2024. The reason I tell you the date and the day and the date and so on is because there may be something that I'm talking about while I'm running where the facts or the things I'm talking about are only relevant at that particular time, and if you're watching this a month later or 3 months later or stumble across it some other time, the situation might have changed. So that's why I give you the day and the date. It's about just after 6 in the morning and I'm off my morning run. This area that I'm in at the moment is called East Grove or East Goulburn, and I have a route in mind as usual. I'm not going to film it all, just bits and pieces. I'm on the Angonia Road Bridge, or the Lansdowne Bridge, if you got one of its many names. Goes across the Mulwaree River, and got about 800 metres to go to make a turn out onto the Braidwood Road. Just turning onto the Braidwood Road. It's called that because eventually it takes you to Braidwood, about 80 kilometres east of Goulburn. On the way you'll pass through a little village of Lake Bathurst. And yes, there is a lake, but it's further on up the road as you go through Tarago, which is about 40 k's from Goulburn. 45 maybe, going east of course. Now, the other day I made a video talking about the physical and mental benefits of running, and in particular I talked about the mental health benefits that may accrue, that's the right word, when you run in a group. And one of the things that I recall from the article that I was talking about was that the fellow who started the running group, Ollie Woolrich, said that running is basically effort. If you keep turning up and putting in the effort, you'll eventually get better. Now, that sort of stuck with me because I think it's very true. I think that, for example, most team sports, you need to have a certain level of skill or ability in order to be able to play, rather than just be part of the team and sit on the bench most of the time. Even something like swimming, most people can learn to swim and can do it, but there are techniques that will make you better at swimming, whereas running, it's almost as natural as walking, and everybody can do it. That doesn't mean to suggest everyone's going to suddenly become a world champion swimmer or set PBs and that sort of stuff. It just means that, assuming that your health, your heart, your joints, all that sort of stuff are in pretty good condition, then you will be able to run. And whilst you might take a while the seasoned improvement, you will eventually directly ahead of me you can see two bridges that are the Hume Highway overpasses that are part of the Goulburn bypass. So bridges for the dual carriageway in both two lanes in either direction. So instead of going into Goulburn, if you just stay on the highway, you'd eventually cross one of these two bridges. On my right here is a place called Goulburn. I'm not sure what that means. I assume it's a First Nations word. But the property is the estate of Hamilton Hume, or at least of his descendants. Hamilton Hume was one of the two of the early white explorers of this area. The other being a fellow called William Hovell. So Hume Highway is named after Hamilton Hume, and what they did was the first Europeans to find a route from around Camden to Corio Bay, which is where Geelong is in Victoria, and mostly the Hume Highway, even with all its deviations and bypasses, still follows a very similar route. This is Thorns Bridge, the second bridge over the Mulwaree River. It's just a concrete deck, no safety rails. I suppose the stuff on the side here is high enough to assume people won't fall over it. Now about 500 or 600 metres ahead, I make a left-hand turn onto Brisbane Grove Road. I've turned onto this Brisbane Grove Road. It's about 3 k's long, give or take. There's a fairly long stretch here up a hill, not too steep, but it just is long, and then down the other side where it meets the Windellama Road. I'll come back to you when I get to the top of the hill. Well, I made it to the top of that hill, and past the 5k mark along the way. There's about 1 and a bit k's to go downhill here. One of the things about running up a hill, aside from the fact that it's steep and you're going to be breathing harder, your heart rate's going to go up, is that, for me anyway, you tend to lean your body into the hill. You tend to lean a bit forward into the hill, and for me that starts to put a bit of a strain on the muscles in your lower back and also in your hamstrings. And maybe that doesn't happen to other people, but maybe it's just an age thing, but it happens to me. Alright, we're down the other side of the hill, so I'll catch you again at the next intersection. Not quite the next intersection, but you can see the road curves around to the left here and then down a bit further till it does come to the next intersection where I have to make a left turn and just go back in the west, go back to the west to where I started from. I'm just coming up to that next intersection. This is the intersection of Brisbane Grove Road and Windellama Road. You go right, you go out to the village of Windellama. It's about 35 k's away. There's a school and a volunteer fire brigade. You go left as I've done, going back towards Goulburn. When you're running, one of the things to think about is the position of your head. Now, ideally, you should keep it up as high as you can so that your airway is as open as it can be. The further down you put it, the closer to your chest, your chin is, the more closed off your airway is, which obviously makes breathing difficult. But you've got to think about, well, how far ahead do I look? I look as far ahead as I can see, or do I look into the middle distance? Or do I just look ahead of myself where I can just see in front of my own feet? And the answer is yes, yes, and yes. If you keep your head up so your airway is open, you're going to be looking into the longest distance to see where it is you're going. But you're also going to see the hills and the things that might be a little bit discouraging. If you dip your head a little bit and just look at the middle distance, then until you get to that hill, although you know it's there, it's not focusing your efforts and not discouraging you. If you look all the way down, just like I am at the moment, then you're only just seeing the white line on the road here in front of me. You've got a little bit of tunnel vision. That's not necessarily a good thing, but it might be if you're going up a hill, because then you're just looking at what's directly in front of you and not how steep the hill is. However, a little tip that I came across from another running channel on YouTube, at first I thought was a bit of malarkey, was it if you dip your head right down, like you're just looking at the white line like I am at the moment, and you're running on a footpath or concrete path that has those horizontal lines across that the concrete is put in to make the little panels or blocks round off the edges and so on, then you might get a false impression of how well you're going, because this person said, and I tried it myself and it's true, if you look down and look at those cracks or lines across the footpath, they all seem to come fairly quickly, and that gives you a false impression in that you think you're going faster than you are, and maybe as a result you're inclined to slow down and think, you know, I'm going too fast, this is too early in the race to be, or run or whatever, to be doing that, so I'll slow down a little bit. They keep coming up and you think, oh gee, I'm going too fast and I'm going to burn out, so I'll slow down. Whereas if you keep your head up, middle and long distance, then those lines don't really come into play. You try it, see what happens. I'm on the Windellama Road, running west back towards Goulburn on a bridge that goes over the highway, which you can see down there. Just a dual carriageway going to and from Sydney. One of the problems running on this road is that the shoulder's not very wide, so you can't really get off the road too much, and the cars coming roaring along. The speed limit's 80 in this section, and I'm sure there are many cars doing much more than that. coming up to the Angonia Bridge again, or Lansdowne Bridge. Make a right turn just before I go onto it, and head back along Forbes Street where I started from. We are 9.74, or I am 9.74 k's in, so be a bit over the 10 by the time I get back to where I started. I just passed the 10k in 59.27, so I brought that in under the hour, which is something I always try and do. I'll come back to you when I get to the end then. Alright, we're finished. 10.66 in 1 hour 3 at a rate of pace of 5:57 per kilometre, which is pretty good for me these days. And as I said, I brought in the 10k in under an hour, which is something I always aim to do. I don't always succeed at it, but I always set it as a goal that I hope to achieve. This is East Grove, as I said before, and although you can't see it from here, up the hill there is the lighthouse, the War Memorial Rocky Hill that you might see when you're coming into Goulburn at night. The lights on in it. It's a War Memorial, and across the road here are playing fields for netball, touch football I think, and they did used to do round ball football on this field here. It has some lights on it, so they must still do some sort of nighttime training on it, but the round ball football all moved to a different location probably 15 years ago, something like that. Alright, well thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the scenic run around Goulburn, or the edited highlights of it, and maybe there were 1 or 2 useful tips for your running in the commentary. If you have a comment, feel free to leave it, and when I become aware of it I will respond. Enjoy your day, whatever it is you're doing, and I'll talk to you when I'm making the next running video.